The call is to help you sell more homes by maximizing your repeating referral closings by implementing the referral agent mastery system into your practice. My name is Mike Cerrone, a co-founder of RAMS Agents, and my co-host is Angela Newman, a master trainer of RAMS Agents. Hello, Angela. How are you today?
Good morning, everybody. I'm doing pretty good.
Good morning, Angela. Well, before we get into the call today too far, I wanted to just mention that Thursday, in 2 days, there is going to be a talk by our very own Angela Newman. She is going to be speaking on Rams Agents Talk Real Estate. It's a series where it's an educational series, kind of like a TED Talks. It's going to be really exciting and invite everybody listening to go check that out. Um, that's going to be this Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 11 Mountain, noon Central, and 1 Eastern. And you can get there by going to ramszoom.com, ramszoom.com. And Angela's topic is how I turned one referral into 24 closings as a part-time agent. How I turned one referral into 24 closings as a part-time agent. It's going to be fantastic. Angela, anything you want to let us know about the talk?
I would love to have, as many people that can be with us live, for the talk. This is something that I have not shared with anybody really before other than the people in our group. So I'm excited to see if what I went through can help somebody else.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I recommend if you've got some time on Thursday, go check it out. It's going to be fantastic. Again, that's this Thursday, Thursday, the 4th of September, 2025. I know I'm dating the call, but that's when it's going to be. And it's Thursday at, again, 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 Mountain, 12 Central, and 1 Eastern. Mark your calendar. And to get there, all you have to do is go to www.ramszoom.com and you'll be part of the event. All right, fantastic. So let's go ahead and jump into our call with our production call here with Rams Agents. Who has some good news they'd like to share?
I have a listing that went live late last week, well, on Thursday night, almost midnight. And um, anyway, I've had some activity on that, some calls about it, and asking more specific questions. So that's a very good thing. It's a tenant occupied property. So the contact that I've received so far has been from potential landlords, from investors, which is good because I think that would be a very good fit.
How long is the tenant's lease? How long are they going to be in there?
They are scheduled to be there through May of 2026.
Okay, so a long time. So we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
8, 9 months, something like that.
yeah, and they've been there a while, and so it's going to be, they would like to stay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very good. And then do you have an arrangement with the tenant to leave early if necessary? Uh,
Yes.
some kind of cash for keys situation?
I don't really, I'm not the property manager, so I don't know how they're going to arrange that if we have to vacate, other than they give the tenant 60 days notice. I know that.
Okay. Yeah, and I said cash for keys, which is a different type of program.
Sure.
Basically, cash for occupancy, I guess, would be a
Yeah.
better way to say it. Um, my only advice there is if you do get a contract where it's going to be owner occupied, make sure that you make it contingent somehow on getting that tenant out of there, some clarification.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Right.
I could see some kind of weird wrinkle in there where you're going to want to, the lender, if the buyer's purchasing with financing, they're going to need something showing that that tenant is going to be out of there. And it's a truly owner occupied, not a investor property for the owner occupied financing. And of course, the new owner would want to gain access. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you got a
Well,
couple of those.
I look at it as no different than owner occupied in that sense. I mean, yes, it is tenant occupied and they have a contract to be there, but I mean, as far as if it's being sold to someone, we've got to get the tenant out of there because we can't give them possession of the property until or at closing if we've still got somebody in there, right? So in a sense, we got to move them on. Yeah, I say we because I'm representing the seller. The tenants are on my side of the deal, whatever happens.
Correct.
Yeah,
And it could be sticky, so be sure to maybe get your broker involved in all that early on. And these are kind of getting into the legal side of things, and I can't
sure.
give you any legal advice as I'm starting to babble away here, but just a heads up that you got to kind of check that out and line it up, because it's my understanding that tenant has occupancy rights through the end of their lease, which you just said is through May. And so, and Angela's warned us about that in the past because she deals in this world a lot. Anyway, Blake, good luck. Congratulations. That's great news. Good job getting it on the market. How exciting to delve into that situation. You know, as we move forward, we learn all kinds of things just by bumping into them and dealing with them. And now
Sure.
you'll be an expert in this area as well. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else
Thank
got
you.
some good news they'd like to share?
Well, we had a new listing go active, I believe it was last week. I believe it was Thursday night or Friday. And we had a couple of showings, so we have feedback. And we'll be getting with the seller tonight to go through that feedback and everything. But yeah, I mean, it's got a new listing.
Congratulations. That's fantastic. Now, did you have showings over the weekend?
Yes, we had two purchase showings, and then it was already for lease, and we had one additional lease showing.
Excellent. Excellent. So that's great news, and good luck with that. Hope that goes well. I was curious about showings over the weekend. I just have a couple listings now, and we didn't have anything. And I was wondering if that was because of the holiday or just a fluke. So I'm glad to hear somebody was getting some showings over the weekend.
Yes, I do think that Labor Day typically slows down for showings for sure.
Yeah, only the serious people are out there. So if you had some
Yeah.
showings, that's good news.
Well, it being a new listing probably had a lot to do with it, like a brand new listing, you know. So,
Right, right. Yeah, so I'll share some news. I have a couple listings, and I had some price changes. So price adjustments last week. Our market is really, really slow, especially in the condo townhome market. I'm recognizing that it's much slower than I actually expected. I'm here in Metro Denver, and you have to make adjustments. And so I've just been in contact with my sellers and talking with them, letting them know, and they both made adjustments. And I didn't just do that. So I adjusted in the MLS, but then I turned around and did reverse prospecting. Have y'all ever done any reverse prospecting?
just a little.
A little?
I have never done it. I've received emails, through my MLS about reverse prospecting. Tell me more about that. I conceptualize what it is, but tell me.
Yeah, that's it's thanks for asking, Blake, and thank you for being open to new ideas. That's why you've done so well in your start in your launch. I think you'll continue to as well. Just stay curious. Um, so these reverse prospecting, basically what that is in the MLS is tracking all kinds of data, and they are tracking things such as who is receiving. Let me say this right. What agents in the MLS have set up a search, an automated search, and sending that search out to their buyers. And in that search is your listing. Your listing goes out to them in that search. So, in other words, your listing matches their buyer criteria, the search criteria that they've set up in the MLS. Whether they made it broad or narrow, we don't know, but it did match their criteria and it was sent out to their people in their automated system. However, they're getting it probably by email. And so they have a buyer who may be interested in your type of property, maybe again, narrowly specifically, or at least generically. And they give you that information, the list of agents. In that list, they also tell you if that buyer happens to have indicated in any way that they like the property. I'm trying to remember, there were two indications I saw. One was liked. I can't remember if it was liked or loved or something like that. And the other is a possibility. I think it was a possibility. So those will rise to the top of the list. And the list is pretty good, at least for me, for the two different properties, was probably 100, 200, 300, depending on the property. It's a lot of people that were matching up. Of course, I'm in a big metro area, but and so then you have the agent's name, you have an identifier number for, I pull it up, but I understand YouTube will knock it out if I do personal data. You have the name of the agent, you have the name, a number for the buyer. You don't have the name of the buyer, but a number in the MLS that represents the buyer, and the buyer's agent can take that number and figure out which buyer it is. And then it has the number of showings they've received, number of listings they've received, and then if they've indicated they like this listing, and then the contact information for the agent. There's the phone number for them if you want to call. And then if you click on their name, you can send them an email. Now, the only downside is you have to click one name at a time. You can only send one email out at a time. And so it's a pretty slow, laborious process. Maybe you can send 10 an hour or so by clicking it open. And I was doing a lot of copying, pasting, and you're trying to make sure you can use a template that the MLS has, or you can create your own. I created my own to try to be really clear about what it was. Anyway, I sent those out, and I did it the prior week as well, maybe a prior week or 2 weeks earlier. And for one of the properties, I was able to generate multiple showings by doing that. 2 weeks ago, I generated, I think, 2 showings, and then this week I generated 2 showings on that same property when we had that price change. Now, I did it on a different, the other listing I have, and did not get a result, but I know that I'm getting the information out there. And then one final thing, on the original listing that I sent it out on, that we did result in showings, one of the agents I sent it to had already shown the property, because I let them know when there's a price adjustment. That's another kind of trick. Anybody who's seen the property, brought their buyer by, they may not have found the property yet. So make sure you notify them when you have a price adjustment. So I made sure I let them notify there was a price adjustment. I notified them of a price adjustment through showing time. So your service that sets up showings, whoever you're using, they'll often have a way to get that information out. So I got the information out there. And then also, because of this reverse prospecting, I had a lot of these agents who had shown the property in that list as well. So I actually got double emails saying, hey, here's the price adjustment. Here's this opportunity. Would you like to go back? For the people that had already shown it, would you like to go back and take a second look? Right. And so one of the agents who received that emailed me back and said, oh, we just put another property under contract, but thank you for letting me know about this. And then when she got the second email, she said, do your sellers have any idea how hard you're working for them? Because it's a lot of work, right? So it's just kind of tedious. Man, if you have an assistant, have an assistant do it. But if you are the assistant, if you're doing everything, then it's something that may be worthwhile for you to do, because as I said, it did generate more interest and more showings. All right. Anybody else have any, Mike, do you have any questions about it? Angela, do you have any comments about it? Because you've done it. Did I miss anything?
I was gonna make sure I understood. You did not just use the template or the system that the MLS provided. You actually got the data from the MLS, but generated your own contacts.
Yeah, so I generated my own email template.
Email template, okay.
Yeah, the MLS, it's good. If that's all you got, do that. Just get it out there. Try to do something, but it's very generic. and it doesn't talk about the property. It doesn't give anybody hints about what the property is. Well, I mean, maybe it says the address, but it just like I wanted to do a description of what the property was. I wanted to give the highlights of what the property is. Let's see.
Yeah, I think your system, that's why I was asking about it, because the ones I have received that I'm getting from other agents that say I got you through or reverse prospecting or whatever, it's definitely the MLS. And I thought they were just hitting a button and it was just happening, which maybe that is
Probably
what
were.
this probably is what they did. Not making the extra effort that you just described, which would obviously make it stand out a lot more. So that's good to know.
Yeah, let me try to share this. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
So I do this in Notepad, which is basically just text only. And so I just created a little document that I popped this open. And you can see what I did for this is like, here's the headline, which I got better at as I was learning. This was the first round. I said, hey, your
Oh, yeah.
buyer favorited this listing, right? That's the headline that they get because they did in this case.
Yeah.
Then your buyer MLS number, and this is the buyer indicator, the number that it indicates their particular buyer. Now, to you and I, it means nothing. There's no name there. But the buyer agent can, if they're curious, if they're willing to do a little bit of work, they can take that, go in the MLS, plug it into their system, and they can see the name of their client. And then they'll know
Okay.
who this is if they don't already, assuming they're working with a lot of people. And then this line was to talk about the address and the MLS number of the property, and then also to give a little bit of data about it, right? What it is and what the price was, what the change was, and just, hey, you want to schedule a showing, and then my contact info, which I didn't realize later. It's already appended, so I changed that later. But that was for the people who had favored it. I guess that was the term favored, and this is the one where they marked it in some way, or at least it's shown up in their inbox as a possible match. And then I had a big price reduction on one, so I did it that way. That was the headline to try to grab people's interest. And again, both these that I'm showing you these formats resulted in additional showings. So then I changed it to here. Hey, you sent one of your buyer XYZ. This is where their reference number would go, your MLS reference number, this listing. And then I just said, hey, quick match and sell, maybe take another look, right? And then talked about the price reduction, the address, the information about the property, how the address changed. In this case, I also gave them a link back into the MLS so they could take a quick look at the property. Like I said, I'm getting a little better at it as I go. This was the second round. And hey, please forward this, please let your buyer know, or maybe even forward this email to them, right? And then thanks. Right. So that's kind of how I was doing that. And I've got another property that I'm working on the same thing. Didn't generate a showing on this other one, but I think it's worth the effort, especially in a slower market.
Yeah,
Helpful?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking if I, as a buyer's representative agent, receive that email, for sure I'm going to contact my buyer and let them know. Now, whether or not we go look at it again, who knows? But I'm definitely contacting them.
Yeah, I mean,
That's,
will you talk to them for 15, 20, 20 in my market, 15, 20, $25,000 commission? Yeah, I mean,
oh,
10 minutes,
shoot, yeah.
go check it
Yeah.
out, right? Now, I don't know if the agents will do it or not and how strong they are, but at least now I've given them the opportunity to go check it. They may not know. They're doing a lot of things. I'm trying
Yeah.
to help them out. Let me just do that one more time. Let me show you the downside to this is it takes a lot of work. You got to open up one
Yeah.
email at a time. And so you have to copy this and you have to put it into the headline, the subject line. Then you copy this and you put it into the body. And then you got it in the meantime, you had to copy this number from
Mhm.
the original screen before the second screen popped open. In fact, I'll just say as a tutorial, first copy this number right next to the agent's name and then paste it into the body of the email. and then do what I mentioned. You copy and paste the headline, you copy and paste this below that number, and then you take this number and you paste it into place. That's the technical way I did it. And so you can, as you can tell, that's a lot of actions to send one email. The other thing is that the MLS ranks what they think is the most significant or highest, strongest buyer first. Like they'll say who marked on. Again, I don't know where this is happening, by the way. I'm assuming it's in the MLS. Maybe it's in Nespoli or whatever they now do with their public facing MLS. Maybe it's for when the buyer came back into the MLS, clicked on a button, came back in, but somehow they marked that they liked the property in some way. Those get thrown to the top, and those are the ones that you'll contact first, which is really nice. Instead of you having to hunt and peck through the group to find them, they're pushed to the top. Anyway, that's called reverse prospecting, and it is laborious and time intensive. I spent a couple hours on it for each property. And if you have a VA or an assistant, that's something that they could be doing. But in a slower market, it's worth it. We got to start going back to the old school strategies as these markets slow down. It's our job to push that property and promote it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike, for sharing, because it's something that I don't know, I kind of got numb to it because I do get those every once in a while, and it just hasn't clicked in my brain that, oh, that's a free way to get in front of an agent that has probably a buyer in that price range in that area. Um, and one more tool that we can use to promote our listings.
The MLS is so powerful. I know I've shared before how frustrated I was with that lawsuit, how stupid and ridiculous it was, because it took away all the many of the tools that we have, that we all created as agents to help people sell their property, right? But in the old days, before they had the MLS, you would go to board meetings. Agents would get together, right, in a cafe or at a association or a board. They used to call them boards in the old days, now associations. The realtor board, the realtor association, and they'd have a part where they sat down around in a circle, and they would show their listings to everybody else and say, hey, I got this new listing. You got anybody who might want it, right? I'm just trying to promote my listing. This was before the MLS. And then another agent would say, hey, I got a buyer looking for XYZ. Anybody got anybody? And it's just a small group of 5 or 10 people, right? Just sitting there trying to work something out in their local area to get some buyers and sellers to come together faster. And then out of that came the idea of, why don't we create a book, a listing? They listed it in the book, right? In the old days, if you're old enough, you remember there was an old book. And then from that, it just became electronic. And then from that electronic version, you know, if you're old like me, you know there were lawsuits where Zillow was suing the realtors to gain access, and they got it. And so they started putting out on Zillow. That's what created Zillow. But it all started with some people in a room, just a couple of people in the room trying to share information, saying, hey, you got a buyer that's interested in this, because that's how real estate gets sold, right, is by information sharing. And so this idea of reverse prospecting, if you think about it, just kind of going back to that. You're just kind of going back to that, because agent said, hey, I got a buyer that's kind of interested in what you're trying to sell, but they're busy in their world. And they kind of forgot about it, or it's happening in the background. They don't even know it got sent out. And so you're reaching back out to them saying, hey, we had a match over here. You want to take a second look, right? So you're promoting it for your seller, but it's also potentially helping that other agent where they just didn't realize, hey, we may have a match here. Or because, like, I think you should do it on a change. So we got a price adjustment where we now may be more in alignment, right, than we were before. Maybe before we were in the same category, we were off, but now we might be in alignment. Why don't you take a second look at this property? And I think it helps me to just visualize this idea of the old-fashioned situation where you're sitting in a room and you're talking to your friends, or you're talking to your peers in the real estate industry, saying, hey, check this out. And they're saying the same to you. We're trying to make matches, right? You ever play that old game? where you have cards and you put them on the floor and you flip a card and trying to match the twos and the twos and the kings and the kings and the queens and the queens. You know what I'm talking about? What is that? Concentration? Was that what the name was? Remember the name of that game when we were kids?
I remember one called Memory, which was
Memory.
basically that you'd spread them all out, and
And you're flipping cards two at a
yeah,
time, and if you get the match, you get a point, and if
yeah,
not, it's the
two
other person's
apples or
turn.
two, whatever.
Yeah, and we used to do that with cards as kids to try to work on our memory. And that's the same idea here. We're just trying to find matches, and that's what real estate is. You keep flipping cards, and you're looking for matches to see if you can put things together. If you can match things faster than the next person, you're going to do well, right? So anyway, reverse prospecting. Thank you for asking questions. If you have any other questions before we move on, let me know. All right, we're going to wrap that up. Hopefully that was helpful. All right, cool. Cool. What else do we got here? Did anybody do anything with September events? So this is RAMS production call. Did anybody do a fall festival, autumn giveaway, a back to school event? Did anybody jump in on that? No? All right, so we missed a little opportunity to get in front of our people. That's all right.
I do have a plan that my intent is actually for this to be the beginning of October, but I might start it in late September now that I'm thinking about it. Um, in the past couple of years, I've done a goat event and given away pumpkins at the event. Um, what I'm thinking is, well, for one thing, just because of the timing of when I expect the baby goats to be born this year, they're not going to hit before October 31st. So I'm going to have that event. I'm still going to have that event, but it's going to be like the first weekend in November, not before Halloween. So I am actually thinking about just going and getting pumpkins and delivering them, doing pop buys basically, delivering them because I heard an agent talking about how she was doing pumpkins and she would put her a little note, attach it to the pumpkin and literally do pop buys. Whether they were home or not, the pumpkin would get delivered to their front porch. My PCSOI is small enough that I could actually do that. So I think that would be that's kind of what's in my mind to do this year. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that's an idea. And I could start that in late September.
First of all, you should try all kinds of things and experiment and see if you like it and if you get the results. Always track the results. That's the bottom line for any new idea. We should start there before we start giving our opinions, which we will because we're opinionated people. But always start with whatever if you have an idea and you feel confident about it, go for it because your confidence may push it through and make it win. So let's just start there. As far as Popeyes versus an event, right? Popeyes is you're going out one by one to meet people. So like you just talked about delivering a pumpkin. Other people say we'll deliver a pie for Pie Day. Other people may deliver a candy or say Easter basket on Easter. I've heard all kinds of scenarios where they're going out to reach out for the Popeye. And all those things can also be done in reverse where you're asking people to come by your location and pick up all those items. And in general, what I hear is most people, especially as their list grows, they prefer the second. They prefer having people come to them because it's faster. It takes less time overall. Because if you're like trying to deliver 200 pies, you're talking about the entire month shot. You just can't do it fast enough unless you have a whole crew. Um, Whereas if you had them come pick up a pie at your Pie Day event, you can knock that out in half a day. So that's why they gain leverage by having people come to them. So that's my biggest hesitation with your plan is this idea of it would be easier for them to come pick up the pumpkin at your location where you're doing the goat event, the miniature goats. That said, a lot of people do like the Popeyes. I'm thinking of another agent that I know. His name's Steve, and he liked to do Christmas ornaments. every year he would hire an artist to create a personalized Christmas ornament, and then he would go hand deliver those door by door. And I think that year he sold 106 homes, so it's not like it doesn't work. All right. Uh, that's why I'm trying to say at the very beginning, everything works if you're passionate about it, and it's the thing. Remember, what is the reason for delivering the ornament? Is it the ornament? If somebody get the ornament and go, I'm going to hire Blake because he gave me an ornament, they're going to hire Blake because you connected with them, right? And it's the relationship. Uh, and so, however you do that, whether you go to them, they come to you, whether you do it by phone or whatever your medium is, as long as you're connecting with people, the better. And it is, if you can get in front of more people face to face, since face to face is the highest level of communication, that has a lot of value.
Yeah, there was, and I'm just, while you were talking about it, I'm remembering another element to this. When you mentioned the fellow with the ornament, presumably that ornament ends up either being on a tree or somehow displayed, and probably kept year to year. Anyway, regardless of the year to year thing, the pumpkin is very likely to remain on the front porch or in some kind of
For a couple
display.
days or a week or something, yeah.
Yeah, or longer. Yeah, maybe until,
Halloween.
all the way through the month of October at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm realizing that could be a reminder of who gave it to them. So
Yeah,
there's
and you can
there's
plus it up. You could give the pumpkin and maybe some coloring markers for the kids to draw on it. You could give them
true.
a little set where they could cut the pumpkin open. I just was thinking not cutting the pumpkin open so early, since you were talking about going early, so much earlier than Halloween, because the pumpkin will rot out faster. But if they gave them some coloring, so they could color a face on it, and the kids could have a little fun with it. I don't know. You could play with it.
Well, and part of why I was thinking about that September thing is because I have noticed after doing this for 2 years, when I've been out purchasing pumpkins, the best pumpkins come about late September, early October, and then they start getting picked over as you get closer to the end of October. And I'm talking about big Halloween type pumpkins, not the ornamental ones, but so that's what I'm realizing is they're all in the stores early on. And that's when I see the volume of them going down because I've been paying attention. So it's very interesting to think about them getting out earlier in October. But anyway, you're right. Maybe with the coloring or here's a marker if you want to, make an outline or whatever. That's a good idea too. That is.
I was just visualizing you, Blake, driving up to their house with a very unique pumpkin. You got your truck, and it's one of those giant 1,500-pound pumpkins, and you got to have a crane, and puts them on their front lawn. So, these are the prime pumpkins. I wanted you to get a prime pumpkin.
But I hear what you're saying too, Mike, is it's a little bit like what we tell people about a uh no, what I can't even think about, but wherever you keep all your data and your CRM. It's what's the best CRM? It's whichever one you're going to do or use, right? You're kind of saying if you get enthusiastic about it and it's a reasonable system, do it because your energy will help make it succeed.
Even if it's unreasonable, if you're passionate about it, go for it. How many times do people hear a great idea and they don't do anything with it because they're not passionate about it?
Hmm.
So if that's what it takes, go for it. And you might discover something nobody else thought of. The first person who delivered pumpkins, people were probably laughing at them, thinking they were, right, what are you doing? And then they start getting business like, wow, that's actually a pretty cool idea. Maybe I'll try to do that more often. So yeah, I don't want to squash anybody's creativity. I'll only share what other people's experiences have been that I've heard about. Yeah. Um, cool. Cool. So that's an idea. So we were talking about events, and we asked the question if anybody's done an event in September. you've got an event that sounds more like an October event, and you time it when it's best for you. The reason that I was asking about September is in my market, there's a blip in real estate activity in September. That's why I like it. I think it's kind of interesting to do kind of into the summer, well, Labor Day, if you, as an example, because there should be in most markets now a blip in activity. There was make sure I'm doing this graph right. Does this look like January and this is December? All right, so January in my market cruises along like this. There's activity. Here's zero. There's sales, but there's not a lot of sales. And then the spring goes really high, and then it kind of levels off in the summer. And then towards the end of the summer, there's a blip in September, and then it kind of goes out for the rest of the year. If you look at a graph of your sales each year, I used to do that, watch it really closely, and that's the way the pattern would always be. And so I just knew there was going to be this blip coming up. And that's why I was asking if anybody was trying to capitalize on that, reach out to their people. It's not too late. Right now, you're sitting here at September 2. You could reach out to your people this week. You just have to do it more direct, maybe social media or a phone call or something, and just kind of say, hey, how's it going? You guys thinking about doing anything this September for real estate? Why I'm asking because a lot of people do things, and I just want to make sure I was available if you needed me before I get busy again. Whatever you want to do to reach out to them. Anybody else thinking about doing anything along those lines? So we got events, we got immediate reach outs. Go ahead, Angela.
Oh, I didn't have anything planned for September. I was focused more on fall, but I am working on my magazine layout right now. And I know, Blake, your magazine just came out. And that's a powerful to our top people, our top 50 people. It's a powerful thing that can go out and just a good reminder. I had ordered 15 that didn't get direct mail, passing those out to people. And everybody loves it. It's really positive. So that's another pop by idea that you can do if you have those extra things. Um, and then I was thinking about the pumpkins. That's a really, if you did want to pop by and not do a huge event and have to potentially buy a ton of pumpkins, if you just took your top 10 people or the 10 people that, that you thought would most likely appreciate it and that you've done business with over the last year or have referred people to you, that's a great thank you. Because nobody's going to say no to having a pumpkin on their front porch. It's like just being festive for the holiday. So, but yeah, it's a good point. That sales increase in September, we get that. So I'll have to think about that.
Good point. And that magazine that you were talking about is one that somebody else publishes. They produce it, and then you just are able to kind of customize it or personalize it with some of your information in it. And was that Reminder Media? Is that the right name? Right.
Yes.
All right, cool. And what's about like $5 a piece or $2
Mm-hmm.
a piece? What is it, $5?
Yeah, I'll go grab one. I have one right here.
The one that just got delivered for me has a pumpkin on the cover. I just remembered that.
Yeah, exactly. You could
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
add those together. But yeah, this was my July edition, so I kind of went patriotic with it. But yeah, you get to
Could you show us that again, Angela? I think I was in the screen.
yeah, there we go.
Talk, Angela, so that it'll pick you.
Okay, here is the magazine. And you can customize your cover. You can customize your inside kind of off just a hello letter to the people that you're sending it out to. You can customize the back. And so this is where if you had sponsors that you wanted to help pay for the magazine. Um, but yeah, I think the point is just doing something for sure.
That's pretty cool, Angela. Thank you for sharing. Blake, as far as your pumpkin idea, if it were me, I would do really small pumpkins. You ever see those little, I think you call them ornamental or small ones, be easier to transport around in your car. They probably last longer on the front porch. It's easier for a kid to mark on it. There's kind of like little advantages. It's just the point that it's giving you a reason to get in front of your people. But you do it any way you want. It just, to me, if I were going to do it, I'd probably get those little ones and not be lugging around and breaking my back over a 1,500-pound one. So, um, all right, cool. Good job. And boy, we're gobbling up some time. Let me make sure we open this up and ask, does anybody have any hot topics you want us to address while we're all together? All right. I'll assume the answer is no. All right, cool. All right, everybody. What I'm going to do then, first of all, let me ask another question. Any other events you're thinking about doing in the next couple months? So we got Blake was going to do this pumpkin, might do sounded like maybe another goat petting.
Yeah, I'll definitely do a goat day.
Yeah,
Hug a goat.
hug a
I'm still
goat.
working on the title. That I picked up on that one from another farmer that was doing a hug a cow day. And I'm thinking, that's a great title, but hug a goat, I mean, that's kind of the same thing. And I might do a hug a goat which is
Or pet a
basically
goat, pet a goat,
pet a goat day. Yeah.
hug a goat, kiss a
Uh,
goat. Ugh.
but I'll still do that. And it'll just be after the primary pumpkin time, of Halloween. It'll be in early November, and I will do s'mores around a fire pit with that as well. So there'll be a little activity for bring the kids, pet a goat. I don't have to do anything beyond the goats, actually. That's what the draw is. But I just add that other thing to kind of give people a little more activity and make it a little, um, let's go to Blake's farm and let's go to the dancing goat farm and see Blake and see his family and the other people that'll be there. See those goats.
Great idea. It's kid centric. It's always a good
Yes.
idea to be kid centric. Um, yeah, families love that. Everybody loves it because everybody's got a kid spirit in them somewhere. And so having the fact that they're going to pet the goats, dance with the goats, dance with the goats at the dancing goat farm, dance with the goats. I don't know,
Dance with the
maybe
goats.
that's the
That's
next
good.
kind of thing. Uh, and the fact that you have other things for the kids to do, like the campfire, the s'mores, making the s'mores. I think kids like that. It's a good idea. It's great. Um, love it, Blake. Good idea. All right. Anybody else got an event that you're going to be working on in the next couple months?
I don't have an event, but I do have I guess I need some advice. So I have a listing. Sorry, I'm off camera, but my son's that doesn't start school till tomorrow. The girl started today. Um, but what was I saying? Oh, so I have a listing, right?
Yep.
And it's from door knocking, and it's been on the market now 3 weeks, and we've gotten two offers. We're listed at 945, and the first offer was 880, and then the offer that we recently got, they came up to 890. But my client is feeling like these offers are all really low, so she's not willing to accept them or entertain them really. And I'm just curious, like in a down market where buyers have more advantage, how do you kind of coach your clients to understand the reality that their home may not be worth what it used to be worth 3, 4, 5 months ago?
Excellent question. That's a fantastic question. First of all, Tristan, you have to know what your market is doing. So every market is different. Um, for instance, right now we have a weird dichotomy in the United States where half the markets are going down and half the markets are actually going up. It's a very strange time. But again, I've seen this before when we move into recessions where markets are moving just oddly, but all the time, odd markets are moving at their own pace. So you got to know your own local market. So in your example, if the market was moving up, you'd be like, yeah, when you're talking to your seller, you'd be like, well, if we just wait around long enough, the market will probably catch up to us and you'll probably get your price. I mean, look how close we are now. However, if you're in a flat market, you're like, boy, we're just not quite there. Look, we had 2 buyers who just made a vote. They voted with their cash and they said, we're not quite there. We're really close, but we're not quite there. I probably need to make an adjustment. If you're in a down market, the conversation with the seller, and by the way, you want to show them proof of these markets going up or down, maybe through graphs, trends and graphs, statistics, days on market, other people's comments on whether the market is going up or down. There's a lot of different ways to show them what's going on with the market. But the conversation is, hey, if the market's going down, yeah, right now, Mrs. Seller, you just received an offer that's, and I forgot the numbers already, but let's say $50,000 below what you're asking. And I know that's discouraging, but we received 2 of them there. And the way this is going, if the market continues down, you could try to work with these people right now and take a $50,000 loss. But if we're in a downward moving market, if you end up waiting 3-6 months, you might be talking to someone about $100,000 less, not just $50,000 less. You're going to be chasing the ball down the hill, the ball being the price or the value of your home. And you want to get in front of that, not behind it, because you don't want to chase it all the way back down to 500,000. And I like exaggeration like that, using wide numbers when I'm talking to the seller. Let me just shift gears and say one other thing. Whenever we get an offer, we should never let it die with us. Whenever you receive an offer, you should never let it die with you. Okay, so I would encourage your seller to at least make a counter proposal, even if it's all the way back up to the full price. Don't let the offer die with you. See, the buyer might have come in and said, hey, let's offer low. The market's changing. I want to see if I can get a great deal. My uncle, my cousin, whatever, told me to offer less. And so they offered lower than the asking price. If the seller takes that as a personal insult and just says, go away, they just totally reject. They just say, go away. That buyer never had the opportunity to come up. Whereas if you make a counter proposal, the buyer can go, all right, well, I didn't quite get what I wanted, but at least I can now get the property at price X, even if it's the same full price. Or maybe it was slightly under. They go, well, I can tell everybody I at least got them to come down $5,000, right? Or I at least got them to give me the washer and dryer, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? You should never let the offer die with you. You should always give it the opportunity to move forward by at least making a counter proposal.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's what I was telling her too. That's what we did. So
you did make a counter proposal?
Yeah, we did.
Good.
The first offer we came back at full ask, and then they were like, okay, it's a waste of time. And then the second group, we came down 5,000, and then they came up, but they came up to that 890, and we're still at 945.
See, so you got some movement. You got some movement by making that counter. Both parties started to move towards the middle and some type of an agreement. Yeah, I thought of, in my past, I remember working with some buyers and they made a low offer and they really wanted the property. But we were in a stronger market. The seller just completely rejected it. And my buyers were absolutely willing to pay full price. They just wanted to see if they could get a better deal. And when the seller rejected them and did it in a nasty way, their agent, the buyers just said, forget it. And they moved on to another property. Even though I remember this one vividly, they really wanted the property. So you just don't know. You got to give the opportunity for these people to come together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I hope that helps in some way. Just try to keep the offer alive. I'll give you one final idea, and then I'll open this up for the others. One other idea is this. This is a different concept that a lot of people don't talk about. If you're a listing agent and you're in a slower market, and you've got a buyer that's shown interest, but they've walked away, right? So they made an offer as an example, but they walked away, and now it's time has elapsed, a couple days, a week. You could call up the other agent and say, hey, has your buyer found a property yet? No, they haven't found a property yet. Are they still looking? Yeah, they're still looking. And did they like our property? Oh yeah, they like the property. That's why they made you an offer. Okay, let me work on something. And then you go back to your seller and you say, let's do a reverse offer. I don't know if that's the right term people use, but it's very rarely used. But let's do a reverse offer. Well, what's that? That's where the seller initiates the offer. The seller writes up an offer with the terms they like, and they send it over to the buyer. And of course, if you're going to do that, you want to make it a little more a better offer than whatever's in the MLS. You say I can't remember the number you said, let's say it was 950, and you offer it to this buyer at 900 if they'll agree to all the terms you want. They'll close in 30 days. They'll accept this in the next 24 hours. They'll whatever. And you just give them what you call a sweetheart deal. And you tell the other agent, look, we're not offering this to anybody else, but if your buyer comes in and closes this up right away, we'll do it at this price and terms.
Okay.
That makes sense? That's called a reverse.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, aggressive agents came up with that years ago in down markets. It's actually pretty creative because it's not the way we're trained, right? We're trained that the buyer makes the offer and the seller makes a counter offer and do. But there's nothing to prevent the seller from making the offer.
Okay, I like that one. That's a good plan. I like that. Thanks, Mike.
You bet. Yeah, and it might keep things alive. Remember, we've talked about this in the past. Things aren't dead until everybody says it's dead, right?
Yep.
And it still may be revivable. Revivable. All right. Anybody else have any comments for Tristan on his situation? All right. Well, hopefully that helped. Let's do this. We're going to wrap up the production call, and we're going to go into the huddle real quick. Huddle is number one thing you did last business day to move your business forward. Number one thing you're going to do today to move your business forward. Who would like to start?
I'll start if that's okay. Number one thing yesterday was I had one showing at a property I had for lease. And number one thing for today is get back on the doors and do my door knocking.
Oh, yeah. Now Tristan's back in the gate, going to get back out there on the doors this week. I can't wait to hear what happens. Something good's going to happen. All right, cool. Good job, Tristan.
That's it. I hope so.
Sweet. All right, who's next?
Yesterday, I followed up on showings. I had a showing here in the Houston area, and I had the showings in Oklahoma. Today, I am going to be working on Thursday's presentation, but the biggies are I need to have a follow-up call with both of my sellers. So
Good. So it's seller report day.
kind of, yeah. So it's kind of a verbal report maybe, but definitely to give them that showing activity update. And normally I do it at the end of the week, but with the holiday and everything with the activity, yeah, we'll do that today.
Cool. Well, good luck with that, Angela. I like that you're going to do some seller reports. I do my seller reports every Tuesday for this exact reason. If Monday is a holiday, boom, just always Tuesday. And we just had Monday as a holiday for Labor Day. So cool. Good job. Blake, what you got?
Sorry there. So over the weekend, yesterday was a holiday here in the United States, as you know. So I did take the day off. But over the weekend, I did have a lengthy conversation on Saturday with my seller where I have listed their farm. And you may remember that there is a change in ownership. There's a husband and wife, and one is now deceased. And so I was speaking with the widow, and we were just kind of going through all of the technical matters that are being handled or need to be handled. And she's meeting with the probate attorney on Wednesday this week. So it's all moving forward. It's just some, a lot of things you got to take care of. So that was very important. And then today, my number one thing I'm going to be doing today is actually taking care of this new listing that I have. I've got a call into the property management company to try and work out. I still don't have a key to the property, and I'd like to have a key so I could at least show it if need be.
Right.
And we coordinate that with the tenants too, but I need a key so that they don't have to physically be there to open the door for me.
Very good, Blake. Now your story about your farm that you're selling and how one of the two owners has passed away, and how you have to help the surviving spouse deal with that situation, and all the intricacies of that. It goes way beyond what most people think about when they get their real estate license, right? And
So
they
true.
think, hey, I'm going to go drive around my car, show a couple properties, see some really cool houses. It's going to be such a fun job. There's a lot that we do for people behind the scenes to help them cope with loss and rebuild their lives. These things that, we quite honestly, we don't get credit for, like that lawsuit. I mentioned it a couple times because it's still in my craw, but they don't recognize what we do. They think that it's just fast cash for everybody and everybody's making $1 million as a real estate agent. They don't see all these emotional, heart-wrenching situations that we have to go into and help people solve their challenges. So I'm proud of you for diving into there, Blake, and making that happen and helping her work through this very difficult time. So good job.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking about it when you were saying all the things we do beyond the land and beyond the property. There's a lot of personal property on this farm right now that's also got to be sold. Some that, she has no idea how to handle. And I'm going to try and help find some resources for that too. So yeah, it's a lot more than just opening a door, or in this case, opening a gate and having an easy showing, a television showing, and that be it. Yeah.
Yeah, we go through the emotional spectrum, right? I remember you were on a super high with that property when you were making those videos. You were having a blast. You were putting it together. You were out there, you know, raising your eye on the disc profile. You were raising your eye out there and being really excited and had a lot of joy. And now all the way to the other end of the spectrum, right? So good job. Good job working through that. All right, let's see. Last business day, what did we do? We got those price reductions. I'm working on a special project. Today, I'll do my seller reports as well. I like to do them on Tuesday. And in those, you're looking for opportunity, by the way, to reposition the property constantly. If you're in a changing market, you have got to be looking for ways to make your property stand out to that group of people out there, basically through the MLS. You know, we call it this magic word MLS, but basically it's a group of people. It's a group of agents that are working on the other side that have, and if I have a listing, they have a buyer. If I have a buyer, they have a listing, right? We're trying to make matches. We're trying to play that concentration game where we're making matches. And you have the opportunity when you talk to your seller each week, don't dread that conversation. Look forward to that conversation, because that's an opportunity to say, hey, let's get a match. Let's work towards making a match by making ourselves more attractive. I think Angela mentioned it the other time we got together. What was that phrase? Something like it's a price war and a beauty contest. Is that what it was, Angela? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very descriptive way to let people know what kind of situation you're in, especially in a down market for sure. So,
Yeah, these changing markets, um, being making sure that we are the winner. And if you start thinking, it's been a while since we've been in a real down market on a national level. I mean, 15 plus years. But used to hear some great dialogue that people would use when they were trying to explain this situation. And I'm trying to remember, there were a lot of good ones around that idea of the beauty contest, because it's a visual. We love visuals. And so you're like, okay, if you've got 10 contestants and only one of them's going to win because only one sell happened last month in this price range, but there are 10 active listings on the MLS, only one of them's going to win. How are you going to make sure you're going to win? You've got to be the best uh, condition and the best price, right? The beauty contest, right? So, all right, good. Well, we'll come back to it. We'll probably start working those dialogues again as our market changes. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful and productive rest of your week. Good to see y'all.
bye guys.